So we have seen another summer of extreme weather across Europe, with dramatic wildfires destroying people's homes or disrupting the holidays in some parts of Europe, while flash floods cause similar impacts in other parts. And read more and more about the impacts this has on agriculture and food prices too. So is this really the new normal that we have to get used to?
Well, I don't think it's a new normal. I think it's something that has become part of our reality. And because of the inertia in the system, we're going to see even further worsening. So to say that what we see today is the new normal is maybe even an underestimation. The climate-related damages in a time series from 1980 to 1923 total some 738 billion at the EU level. That's a pretty big number, but even more disturbing about that number is that 22% of that total occurred in the last 3 years of that time series. So what we're seeing is that the damages are growing exponentially, and that unless we kind of make efforts to really get ahead of the impact, people will feel a sense of defeatism, like this is all too overwhelming for them. So as regulators, as policymakers, I think it's our responsibility to be seen, to act, and to do and deliver policies that allow us to continue prospering and competing at the face of rather adverse climate conditions. Unfortunately, lots can be done. And already in the political guidelines of Ursula von der Leyen, this has been very well picked up, partially informed by our first ever European climate risk assessment, which shows that our policies are not keeping at pace with the increasing climate impacts and their frequency, but that there are lots of things that can be done if we get our house in order.
And it looks like we can't avoid the impacts of climate change, at least in the short term. So what can we do to adapt them and to make our societies more resilient?
There's a lot that can be done. I already referred to the climate defeatism. What we really need to do is to empower people, identify how and where we can make a difference. Local level awareness, readiness to act, take charge of things is really amazing. And we should never, ever underestimate people's ability to innovate, to come up with solutions. What we see, for instance, in Algarve, where Mission Adaptation is helping restore wetlands in order to deal with floods and coastal erosion, has been very inspiring. Similarly, in Emilia-Romagna, lots of the urban planners are preparing their cities with different types of shading, different types of vegetation and parklands, so that they become more resilient to climate change and provide a habitable environment for the city populations, even at face of rather dramatic climate conditions.
And is there a role for the European Union in all of this, or is it every country and every region for itself?
There definitely is a role for European Union, but what I think is important is that there is no escape clause for anyone. All sectors, all governance levels, all parts of society are being impacted by climate change. So we need to identify and work on the notion of risk ownership. Those who have the empowerment to do things differently should do so. We will be coming forward from the European Union with the package of European climate adaptation plan. This package is forthcoming in the end of 2026, and it will put forward quite important elements that will then trigger a wave of change in the way that we do business, we prepare our different works and investment, in the way we improve our sector readiness, not just in the area of environment, but also in agriculture, transportation, energy security. There is no sector that's not affected and where efficiencies would not be compromised by climate impacts. Health sector is also a very, very pertinent area for action. So we will be coming forward, hopefully with a temperature reference scenario that will change the mentality of approaching things in a way that makes the whole of society, in terms of planning and investing and taking things forward, resilient by design, so that not a penny is spent without giving thought to how that investment is going to need to stay robust and resilient in climatic conditions that may be dramatically different from what they were 10 years ago.